Off top, which team has had the most head coaches since the merger? Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. I'm joined by just one of my very close friends today. It is the great Bill Barnwell. Charlie Kravitz is off in Chicago being a marathon spouse. We miss you. Hopefully, we'll make this show go smoothly without you. Hey, Bill, what's up, buddy?
You know, the story of the NFL this year, Domonique, is just, great quarterbacks thriving without their star receivers. This is your chance to be the Baker Mayfield of the Domonique Foxworth Show and thrive without one of your key pieces, one of your key lieutenants on the field.
Charlie will be missed, but not nearly as much as Emeka Egbuka was at the end of that game. But I guess Baker made it seem like he wasn't missed that much. But we'll get to Baker in the rest of the NFL pretty soon. But first, we have to start with the big matchup on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. So, the story of the game, the Chiefs are back. Everyone else pack it up and go home. They don't even got Rashee Rice back. They didn't have their left tackle, Josh Simmons. Patrick Mahomes was cooking. They're starting to look like the old Chiefs again that are fun to watch. It's kind of cool.
This team lost to the Jaguars last week. You're all the way back. You are good.
I'm in. 2 weeks in a row that 3 weeks in a row that their offense has looked fun and impressive. Yeah. I like it. I'm all the way back in. I mean, of course, it won't be a completely smooth road. Their defense isn't nearly as good as it was in the previous seasons, and they'll have some bumps in the road. But I think we'll talk about, on the NFC at least later in the show, how it feels like there's a lot of good teams and no great teams. I think that's probably true of the AFC too. But this team has a quarterback that seems like he has his receivers back, and it's kind of nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, this offense has been great since like week 3. The Giants game, they were kind of okay, more good than great, but they have been moving the ball consistently. Now, they didn't throw a 100-yard, 99-yard pick 12 the way they did last week to Devin Lloyd that swung that game towards the Jaguars. I'm being a little facetious here, but this offense looks like they can do whatever they want. They are running the ball effectively, which I think has been the big thing missing for them since that Isaiah Pacheco injury. He looks really good. They had, I think, 10 carries for 52 yards under center in this game. So they were running the ball effectively from under center, which is something I think we've all been looking to see from this offense to kind of give them another dimension. All like the scrambling, all the option stuff they run with Patrick Mahomes, all that stuff is cooking. They're hitting that stuff over and over again for plays. And it felt like, earlier in the year, the thing I said about the Chiefs was, okay, what's their identity? What can they do well? And they didn't really have that thing to fall back on. Now it felt like in this game, they had that thing to fall back on consistently, which was, we're going to stretch the hell out of the middle of the field and these Detroit linebackers and these Detroit safeties. Patrick Mahomes, in this game, 15-17 for 170 and a touchdown on throws over the middle of the field. That is really hard to pull off. And I think it really speaks to, having something you feel really good about in your game plan. The Chiefs have that now. And so when you have that and you can march the ball down the field over and over again without having to ever get to third down on so many of these possessions, it's a new version of their offense versus what we've seen over the past couple of years, really.
It was honestly kind of surprising, given that the Lions are beat up at the corner spot. You would think that that's where they would attack, but they felt good about what they were going to do in this game, and they obviously had their mind made up that they're going to attack the middle of the field. They took advantage of it, and to your point, like getting a new set of downs on second down or on going from first down to first down is a real nice strategy. I think the Lions actually had a chance in this game early on. Like it felt like once the game got into the second half, the Chiefs took control of it. And the Lions, I think, honestly played a lot better in the first half. And then when it gets out of hand, no one really.
That's the problem.
We saw again. I know you're going to bring this up if I say that being behind against the Chiefs is pretty tough. I know the Jags pulled it off last week, but to your point, there's no 12-point swing interception on one play to save you.
No, it's especially hard for the Lions. I'm sure they've done it before. I'm sure someone will bring up a game where they have done it once or twice before, but it is not what they're built to do. They are built to beat you from ahead, dominate you with that running game, always have that be part of the play action attack and have that be an option for Jared Goff. and then rush the passer with Aiden Hutchinson, who, I mean, I know we got to roughing the passer in this game. Aiden Hutchinson is terrifying. Oh my God. When they tried to block him with Noah Gray, and he just bull rush Noah Gray backwards directly into Patrick Mahomes for a strip sack, where you could see Noah Gray was just along for the ride. There was nothing he could do about it. It was incredible. But like that's what they're built to do. They are not built to throw from behind in their drop back pass game. And that's what Jared Goff had to do in this game. 23 of his 29 pass attempts were without play action. That's not what the Lions are built to do. I don't really have a fault with how they did this. I just think they decided to play a game where they weren't going to kick, they weren't going to punt. It was going to be 4-down territory every drive, and they blinked. They had the 4th down on the first drive where
the field goal.
Well, they tried to throw a touchdown pass to Jared Goff. They said, you know what? Whenever Jared Goff is out there, we got to ISO him up. I saw the Raiders throw a 50-50 ball to their backup guard earlier on the day on Sunday, and then I saw Jared Goff get in a fade, and that was not something I would recommend the Lions do again. And then you had the Amon-Ra drop, so that's 3 points in the first drive when they wanted 7, and then the Amon-Ra drop ends that drive. Who knows where that drive goes? Maybe they score a touchdown on that drive. So if you're going shot for shot with the Chiefs and you're missing on 4th downs, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, they approached it with the right mindset. They just didn't execute.
I don't think that's wrong.
But no, I agree. I wasn't saying that you do. Like, I agree with you. They approached it with the right mindset. They just didn't execute. And that's like, I know we spend a disproportionate amount of time talking about quarterbacks. And sometimes I feel, as a player who played a different position, and you and I both understand a lot more about the game, that it's a bit of a waste of time. We should pay attention to other positions. But we're reminded that margin of error is really decided a lot by that position. And Jared Goff, as good as he is, he was really good in the first half, I thought. I mean, even from catching the touchdown pass that got called back to driving the ball across the middle or deep down the middle of those digs and play action, like, he doesn't have that same amount of margin for error because his ability is not quite what Patrick Mahomes is. And we saw in the course of this game them making up routes with Travis Kelce because of that time they have together, and Patrick Mahomes just finding him all the time. And also, one last thing. I know Mahomes has his weapons now. And I was presenting a theory early in the season. If you remember, he was trying to run people over earlier in the season, that he was just demonstrating some frustration. So why is he still doing it? I saw in this game, man, still trying to run somebody. Stop it.
You don't realize, Domonique, he got a taste. He got a taste of the joy of running people over. He's like, I don't get to do that normally during the regular season. He did it once against the Niners last year, and he resisted the thrall for the rest of the season. But now
he's been doing it this season.
Game, he's got a taste of it. It's in his blood now. He knows every game I get to run over a guy. You saw what happened at the end of this game, Domonique. Brian Branch was so frustrated and so mad, he went up to Juju Smith-Schuster and slapped him in the ear. That is what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs did to the Lions in this game. Would that not be intoxicating? It would be like if I suddenly walked down the street and could dunk. I just got one dunk off. You don't think I'd be trying to dunk every time I saw a hoop from that point forward? Of course I would.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes running people over. He's the same guy who got hurt on a QB sneak. Like, they have to put a tight end now to execute the full QB sneak whenever they do it, because he got hurt on it once. And now he wants to truck people all the time. Like, obviously, he can do no wrong. Do whatever he wants to do. He's Patrick Mahomes. But I would suggest you stop doing that. Also, that's a level of frustration where you're cooled off. You've walked to the sideline. You're walking to the middle field. All your anger is like subsided, and you know that it's going to cost you some money. I don't know what was said or done in the course of that game that was like, I'm going to go ahead and pay me a 5-figure fine because I need to slap you in your ear hole.
When you have all the cameras, not just on you, but literally on the field, you can't even hide it. You can't even hope like, oh, maybe they were focused on Mahomes and they didn't see me. Like, you played the entire game already, and now you're playing for free. That just does not seem like the most logical thing to me. But I'm also not an NFL safety, so I can't say.
All right, well, that was a fun game. I think we've decided it. The Chiefs are the best. Let's get to the rest of the games. Throw your hands up, and now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, the Good Hands plays presented by Allstate. We're presenting them today, Bill, to Jackson Smith and Jigba and the Seattle Seahawks.
Good choice.
JSN was incredible. Oh, you like my choice? I appreciate it.
Yeah, I do. You seem shocked, though.
No, I'm shocked that you like my choice because I feel like generally the way that we approach this is we talk trash to each other. But anyway, we don't have to talk trash about JSN. He was incredible in this game. He's been incredible all season long. He had more than half, I think 160 passing or receiving yards, which is more than half of the 130 was the rest of his team got. He had 8 receptions, which is the same amount of receptions that everyone else on his team had combined. He was their passing attack and a touchdown, and the most impressive part of it, for me at least, was the explosive plays. He's been putting up a ton of explosive plays this year, and he had another one in this game that was pretty much one of the most deciding plays of the game. So JSN and the Seahawks, you get the good hands presented by Allstate today. What do you think, Bill?
JSN's got good hands for sure. I mean, it has not been a one-week thing for him, right? I mean, this has been pretty much since the DK Metcalf trade. I know we talked a lot about the, Seahawks finding the perfect timing for getting rid of Russell Wilson, getting rid of Geno Smith, making the changes at quarterback. They made the DK Metcalf trade, and we're all a little concerned. Cooper Kupp is a little past the point of being Cooper Kupp now. He's had a couple plays here and there. I think he scored in this game, but he's not a number one receiver anymore. JSN fits perfectly. Him being the focal point of this offense has worked week after week all season. And it's not just one thing, right? It's not like they're scheming stuff up for him where he's just catching screens and getting tons of yak. It's not like, it's gimmick stuff. He is stretching the field vertically week after week. And it is, I think, a really good job of building in lots of runaways for him. He's going over the middle of the field really well. He's going up the other sideline well. In an offense where, frankly, no disrespect to Cooper Kupp, no disrespect to Elijah Arroyo and other guys, everyone knows JSN's the guy you have to stop. And if you stop him, you're going to be fine. And week after week, he's racking up 150-plus yard games. It has been really impressive to see.
He's averaging, so Jackson Smith and Jigba is averaging 116 yards a game right now. He is the leading receiver in all of the NFL ahead of Puka Nacua. But the kicker is he has 80 more yards than Puka Nacua on 12 fewer receptions. To your point about the explosive plays, he had last week, I think it was 4 plays of more than 40 yards. And this one, he had a 60-yarder. So now he's up to 5. He's breaking defenses. And I think you made a good point about how he does do a bunch of other things for the offense. But you know me. I care about the explosive plays, and he's not even that fast. His 40 time generally is it's not blowing people out of order. It's not a 4.2, a 4.3, 4.4. He's above, but he's still finding ways to make these big plays, which I love and I appreciate, in large part because he's good, but also because I like the Seahawks before the season starts. So now it makes me feel right.
What did you run a 40 at the combine?
I did. I ran fast. Yeah.
What'd you run?
I was 4.35.
Okay, so when you said 4.35, sounds like you were stretching that. It was a 4.39, and you were let me.
Oh no! I almost said 4.32 because it depends on where you look, which team you talk to. But it was 4.32, 4.35 was the range. So I went with the higher one to seem humble, but I'm not.
So is it just that anyone who runs slower than a 4.35 is slow to you in perpetuity?
No, it's that we look around the league at the deep threat guys. When I think of the best deep threats, I think of people who really run fast, like Tyreek Hill. When you're talking about the role that a receiver is going to play, we're not looking at those guys as burners. Not that they can't make big plays, but the way that he's been producing them, I guess, is normally there's a guy who we've selected and he's dedicated to running real fast past people. Jackson Smith and Jigba is not that guy, and he's still producing like he's Tyreek Hill.
But at the same time, though, I think about Emeka Ibuka, who came into the league this year. I know he got hurt on Sunday, but came into the league as kind of he got the sort of Anquan Bolden hype, he's not that fast, but he's tough, he's tough. And then he's running by dudes every week, too. So I just think we're sort of underrating the speed of these Ohio State guys because they're surrounded by freaks everywhere else at receiver. And maybe just because they're not the fastest guy at Ohio State doesn't mean that they're not fast when it comes to Sundays. And I think that, they're doing a really good job of building stuff off of play action. There's lots of opportunities for them to run away from, guys across the middle of the field. It doesn't have to be just you're beating guys straight vertically and stacking them.
I get it.
It could be.
I get it.
I know, but I'm saying it's more than one way to be fast.
And I think, honestly, this is a bit of a sidetrack, but 40 time is a lot more about technique than it is about pure speed. It's about if you can get your start down well, which none of that really matters because on the field, he's incredibly explosive. As much as he was the story of the game, though, I think we also got to point out that their defense is back. There was a week against the Bucs where we saw that Seattle Seahawks defense kind of fall apart and
they got
some
Bakered,
questions.
like everyone else does this year.
Yeah, they got Bakered, but they're back because they got to play against the Jags, which...
But not only are they back, Domonique, they were back this week without Devon Witherspoon, who's their best cornerback. Julian Love was out. Rick Woolen was out. They're down 3 starters in their secondary in this game. For a Jaguars team that, we'll talk about them, but for better or worse, not like they were terrible on offense against the Chiefs. They didn't move the ball against Kansas City for stretches of that game. It kind of felt like, okay, this might be a week where they can move the ball and rack up some points. And sometimes it was their own fault, but Seahawks dominated this game up front. Like, the Jaguars could not run the ball, and once they couldn't run the ball and it was just going to be on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders, it was a lot of the, we don't know what's coming out of Trevor Lawrence's hand when he throws the football throughout this game.
Yeah, DeMarcus Lawrence and obviously Leonard Williams, they got a bunch of pressure. Leonard Williams, every now and then he does something that's just ridiculous. I don't know if you saw when he chased down... No, not the touchdown. When he chased down a receiver that was running down the sideline. Every now and then he does something incredibly athletic that reminds us that he's not a human being. But that defense, to your point, the front got a ton of pressure. And I guess we have to spend some time talking about the Jaguars' disappointment. Or we could just stay on the Seattle Seahawks and be happy and have fun.
I'll throw one thing out there. We can have fun. We could. You don't like trashing teams? That's what we're here for, Domonique. I mean, the part for the Jaguars is this. They have been the same team every week all season to me. Maybe they couldn't run the ball in this game. Maybe that was different. But they're sloppy on offense. And the difference has been that their defense has been able to make up for that by making big plays and forcing 3 turnovers a game. They didn't force any turnovers in this game. Did hold Seattle to 1 third down conversion all game. So they're still good on defense. But when you're not getting those takeaways and the offense has to be sustained through the passing game, this offense is too sloppy to succeed. They had a 52-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas in this game. Call back because Travis Hunter lined up offsides on offense. You cannot be having that happen. This team does not have that kind of margin for error when the defense is not forcing 3 turnovers a game.
And Brian Thomas Jr. could have walked back to the huddle and been angry at Travis Hunter if he wanted to, but then he went on to drop passes that were very catchable across the middle. I know this team leads the league in drops, which is a convenient defense for people who love Trevor Lawrence and believe that Trevor Lawrence has come around and turned the corner, but he still hasn't quite done it. Even though they've been successful so far this year, to your point, the offense hasn't been consistent. And in watching this game, what jumped out to me about watching Trevor Lawrence was it feels like he doesn't know which throw is for which situation. Where, like, there are some that he lobs in there on the sideline when you're trying to rip a ball into the cover 2 hole with a fade, and he's like a soft touch. And then he's drilling these short intermediate passes that I feel like don't need to be drilled. It just doesn't seem as natural a quarterback that he looks like. He doesn't seem like a natural thrower of the ball to me, which sounds crazy, I know.
No, he's like when you play your dad in Madden as a kid and he doesn't play, and so he doesn't have like that sort of dexterity to hit the pass button, and so you don't know whether you're getting a bullet or you're getting just a total messed up lob from pass to pass because he just does not have that kind of dexterity and experience working the button. I just think this offense really needs a run game. I just think when you get Trevor Lawrence on 3rd and long, you get such inconsistent play. I think these receivers are still kind of sloppy. You know, like, I feel like the routes are not being run exactly where you want them. I don't think necessarily that you're getting the kind of careful, reliable consistency you're hoping for. I think they missed Brenton Strange, who's on IR. That was kind of a good underneath option for Trevor Lawrence. But even in the Chiefs game, I mean, go back to the Texans game, the Chiefs game, they've been struggling on offense and then hit one big play against the blown coverage or one big play in a 50-50 ball. And that's great, but you need more than that to win. And when you're not getting that complete performance, the Jaguars aren't going to be good enough to pull this off against good football teams.
Yeah, and I mean the Jags are. I think you're making a good point about how they aren't bad. I think sometimes we can only be binary, but it was a good win for the Seahawks. Which, like, I've been trying to figure this out. How good are the Seahawks in relation to the rest of the NFC? Like, it seems like this year the point differentials are much closer. No one's pulling away. Maybe I'm being a little early, but I feel like normally by week 6 there's a clearer picture of who the very best team is. And I don't know, where do you think the Seahawks rank with in relation to the rest of the teams in the NFC?
They're good. I mean, it's not like we look at any of these teams in the NFC outside of maybe the Lions and say, oh, well, that team is great. You know, like, you can poke holes in anybody. in the NFC right now. And so with the Seahawks, I think we have to feel pretty confident this defense is legitimately really, really good. I mean, I mentioned the injuries in the game on Sunday. Devon Witherspoon's barely played this year. I think he's only played 1 or 2 games all season. This is a team that I think you can really count on the defense. And for whatever we want to say about our friend Sam, I mean, he's made some great throws this year. There have been moments where he's been really pressured. He's been in difficult spots and not only gotten himself out of them, but made great throws after doing so. He went pretty close to shot for shot with Baker Mayfield, who might be the best quarterback who's ever lived, last week. And, did throw an interception at the end. Like, he's not perfect. There's still some flaws here. But, like, by the standard of looking at any of these great teams in the NFC and saying, okay, if you're playing on Sunday, how much can I feel confident in you doing your best thing really well? I feel really confident that we can rely on the Seahawks defense to be really good week after week. And that kind of seems like something I can't say for the vast majority of the other teams at the top of the NFC.
Well, the team that kind of did what they wanted with that defense last week was the Buccaneers and Moxie Man himself, Baker Mayfield. They're 5-1, and they had another big win this week against a very, very injured 49ers team. And Baker did it in this game where in the fourth quarter, Emeka Egbuka, the rookie sensation receiver that you mentioned earlier, he got hurt along with Godwin and Mike Evans were already out before that. Baker Mayfield performed incredibly well in this very tough situation. The difference between, I would love to say that this team is the best team in the NFC, but they just, I know you're not going to blow everybody out, but like they struggle with the Jets. But let's stick to this week. They played really well against the 49ers. Would you be willing to say that this showing that the Bucs had this week makes them the clearest favorite in the NFC? Because even the Lions, and we're taping this before the outcome of the Sunday night game, but even the Lions, when you look back at the wins that they've had, like I kind of feel like that Seahawks win might be one of the more impressive wins. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I could just feel you getting nervous about trying to find the right words about, do I want, you didn't want to commit to it, but you wanted me to commit to it instead.
No, I don't want you to commit to it. I asked you a question. You can commit either way. If you agree with me that it's hard to tell, it's fine.
It is hard to tell. But what I feel very confident about is that Baker Mayfield is playing absolutely positively out of his mind right now. And there is never going to be a game this year where I feel like the Bucs are completely and utterly out of it because Baker has been absolutely insane in late game spots, in the second half of games, bringing them back. I mean, he has been otherworldly. And that 2-play stretch in this game, where, like you said, no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka goes down during the game. They don't have Bucky Irving, their starting running back. Then they have the second-string running back. Their right tackle, Luke Goedeke, out for the year. Their left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, is back. He's not 100%. He's been a little less than his all-pro self so far this year. I haven't watched the all-22 for that game yet, but last couple of weeks he's been pretty good instead of being a superstar. So you're down 3 of your starting wide receivers. You're down your running back, your second best tackle, your second best offensive lineman, maybe your all-pro tackles, maybe 80% of what he is. Baker Mayfield is playing out of his mind. That scramble where there were like 2 Niners in the backfield on him, and then he spins away from a tackle, picks up a first down, and then that deep post for a touchdown where you get the sixth wide receiver on the roster making a diving catch for a 40-yard score where he changed his route. He put up the mailbox like 6 yards into the route and still caught it. Incredible play against the 49ers. And yes, the 49ers are banged up. They lost Fred Warner in this game to, sadly, what is likely a season-ending ankle injury. No Nick Bosa. But Niners have been giving teams problems. The Rams didn't play all that well against the Niners last week, and Baker lit them up without pretty much everybody who you would have a jersey for in the stands otherwise on offense besides Baker Mayfield. I'm skeptical of the defense. They can manufacture big plays here and there with Todd Bowles' blitzes and his traps. You got Mac Jones throw a pick into the same trap twice in this game. But I am totally confident, and I said this last week, the week before, if it's a 2-minute drill and Baker's on the other side of the field, I am absolutely terrified if I am a fan of the team playing defense.
And Baker holds onto the ball. So, like, I feel like when I watch a lot of games, there's a differentiating factor between some of these quarterbacks, the ones that are decisive and the ones that aren't. Like, I feel much better about the decisive ones. And the thing about Baker is he manages to hold on to the ball in a way that feels more decisive. Like, it's not I mean, obviously Justin Fields is an extreme example, but he's not back there looking all down the field. Like, he has a feel for the pocket that sets up blocks and execute plays. And then there's the toughness on top of it. And he does cool, which is also fun, where like he threw a touchdown pass and got hit late on the play, got up talking trash to the person who hit him. It's very cool to watch. It's very fun. And I think there's something to be said for the attitude that Baker brings to the team, which obviously I think Baker put words to it himself. It's something that I've said about him before, is that when he's winning, it's cool. When you're losing and you got that attitude, it's annoying. And he recognized that too, but he doesn't change. And I think that like permeates the team to some degree, because Todd Bowles is not that bubbly. It's nice to have Baker, little bubbles.
Todd Bowles is very stoic. I feel like he's a very reliable hand.
Stoic.
You know how like you could like if you just put a camera on a coach, you could probably tell what happens on every single stop. Like Aaron Glenn, you see Aaron Glenn dancing on the sideline, you know something. Jets scored like one of the 4 touchdowns they were going to score all month, and Aaron Glenn got excited about it. But Todd Bowles, they could win the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield could have just been launched out of the stadium on the pirate ship. You would not know the difference. You'd just be very stoic. Like, who's our backup quarterback?
You brought up Aaron Glenn, which, like, I feel like we have to talk about that game a little bit. Like, I think we've covered the big, important games, and I think there's a series of other games that happened today that are not big, but there's some important takeaways from those games. I think we'll get to Aaron Glenn at some point, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to see if we can run out of time before we have to talk about Aaron
You
Glenn.
want to run out the clock on Aaron Glenn's clock management? Sure.
Man, it's that's the right move. We're going to do the halftime Aaron Glenn maneuver. But I think Drake May, man, and what the Pats did down against New Orleans. But most importantly, I think Drake May jumps out and what he's done the last several weeks. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I like big plays, and I find them to be significant and important in the game. And he was 3 for 4 for passes that traveled more than 20 air yards. He had one that traveled 40 air yards. It's not a 40-yard reception. It was a 60-yard touchdown, but it was 40 yards in the air. I get so sick of the dink and dunks. I love when there's a quarterback that lets it fly and connects. And Drake May's been doing it without the turnovers and the mistakes. And honestly, without Stephon Diggs always being the guy receiving them.
Yeah, I mean, he did not have a big game here. He got a 50-yard pass called back for a truly incomprehensible offensive pass interference penalty. I know, Domonique, you probably liked it, but only 28 yards in this game. But it was Keyshawn Boutte had a couple scores. Pop Douglas had a long touchdown. I always love when I'm listening to games and it's ex-commentators and they say things and they try to make it out like it's something they feel strongly about. And I got one of those from you, like, Domonique Foxworth, former NFL cornerback, really likes explosive plays. As if there's
I'm the only one. I'm the only one. Nobody else in media appreciates explosive
Jeff
plays.
Saturdays come out tomorrow and say, no, I like those 4-yard completions over and over again. Don't throw it downfield, buddy. Just hit that underneath route over and over again. Drake May's awesome. He is fun to watch, I think, is the biggest thing. And he's doing it without a run game. The run game, frankly, is actively antagonistic to the Patriots' chances. Usually they're fumbling and costing them opportunities. He has been such a revelation. And I think a lot of people who watched him closely last year were really optimistic. I think there was a lot of, watching Patriots games closely where you would just see like the worst pass protection faults you've ever seen on a drive that would just blow up a drive, or, Drake May would make mistakes here and there, but he showed so much promise, I think, that you thought, okay, well, if he doesn't have the worst offensive line in football, a below average running game, and the worst receivers in football, there's something here. And we give this man a lot of flack, deservedly so. He is one of the worst head coaches in the history of the National Football League. But Josh McDaniels might be okay at coaching this offense stuff. If he's in any job besides Patriots offensive coordinator, don't do it. Run away. Don't hire him. But Patriots offensive coordinator, this dude is good. He made Mac Jones look good in his first year with the Patriots. We know about the Tom Brady era. And now I think you get a lot of really fun stuff in this offense. You get some of the stuff from the Cam year where some of the quarterback run game is built in. Not a ton. I think they strike a balance. There's not a lot of it. But you get a lot of, sort of easy completions here and there. You get a lot of stuff with the tight ends. That's really, really quarterback friendly. And then, unlike the Mac Jones year, unlike I think a lot of young quarterbacks, they do not care. They will chuck it downfield on 3rd and long because they have a quarterback they trust to make those throws. And you saw 3rd and 19 in this game. They're chucking it downfield because they think they can have a quarterback they trust to drop back and get that ball out, and he has, and he's really good doing it.
A quarterback you trust, eh? You gave me a great segue to we have to go to the Jets and Aaron Glenn against the Broncos in Tottenham. A very kind of not great game to watch, 13-11. Neither offense was all that productive. And I think both defenses played really well. I have to give them credit. It wasn't just that the offenses were bad, but there's one specific thing in this game that I think we have to discuss is Aaron Glenn deciding just before halftime with the ball around midfield on a 4th down to not go for it when people wanted him to, or to, it just seemed indecisive. The strategy there didn't make sense. And it was, I mean, I guess it made sense. He explained it later, but it seemed timid. And as a defensive guy, it's often the defensive-minded head coaches that are hyper-conservative, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this. And it wouldn't have been such a big deal if it wasn't for the fact that the Jets have looked awful all season long, and then you top it off with something like that. Like, take a chance. Why at this point do you need to be conservative? Be aggressive. You have an athletic quarterback. Run a design run. Do something.
It's sort of like, you're in England. Chances are half your fans are not up watching the game anyway, so just try something. If it works, hey, great. Like, think about that flight home and how happy you're going to be. You hit that 4th down conversion to score some points when you're not moving the ball so effectively. Domonique, you're not even talking about the thing later in the game when the Jets had a 1-point lead and they had a 4th and 1. And not only did Aaron Glenn originally line up to go for it, then he called a timeout, then they punted, which was like a 4.5% swing per next gen. The argument on the broadcast was very clearly, your defense has been playing great. The Jets' defense has sucked all year. They've been the worst defense in football since Robert Saleh left. Like, you shouldn't get fooled by 2.5 or 3/4 of football that your trash defense is suddenly great.
They were good.
Well, immediately after that point, Domonique, they allowed the Broncos to march downfield and kick the game-winning field goal. So they weren't that good. I just, like, you're 0-5. You're going to be 0-6. At what point do you just start trying stuff? At what point do you start saying, okay, like, we don't have a passing game we have any faith in whatsoever. So when we get in 4th and 1, we have to go for it because our only way of launching a touchdown drive is hitting a bunch of 1st downs, running the ball effectively, and winning in short yardage. That's our only hope. And, like, Aaron Glenn coached this game like he was terrified of his quarterback and terrified of his offense. I'm not saying that's wrong. But if that's the case, you need to make changes.
Yeah, they had like about 40 passing yards the entire game. It was ugly.
They had negative 10 net passing yards in this game when you incorporate the sacks.
I didn't get to the 9 sacks yet that they gave up. They did throw it for 42 yards maybe and then got sacked for a lot more. It was an ugly display. Do you think I was mentioning this last week or earlier this week, how the Thursday night game is the worst time to have a bad game because you're 2 days away from the last Monday night game and 2 days until you get to the weekend. So all we do is focus on it, especially if you're kind of on the hot seat. I feel like the international game, best time to have a bad game.
Yeah.
Because immediately after, we got a full slate of games. Then we got a Monday night doubleheader. No one's even going to be talking about how embarrassing this Jets loss was, right?
No, it's totally lost in the shuffle. Like they were halfway home by the time they even bothered to like pick up a website or check out the news. I guess you don't get newspapers on the plane when you're flying back in the morning from London. But ideally yes, but they're 0-6, and
it's thanks.
I recognize that like no one had high expectations for the Jets, but when you fire Robert Saleh, you fire Jeff Ulbrich, you move on from Aaron Rodgers, and all those dudes look like they're doing better away from New York, and the guys you brought in don't look like they really have a great handle on what they're doing. I know it's shocking to think the Jets might not have done a great job of hiring the right people, and I want to give Aaron Glenn more time, but it just doesn't feel like they have a handle on how to fix things. It doesn't feel like this is getting better. It feels like it's getting worse on a weekly basis.
Well, the Jets underachieved their low expectations, and the Ravens have underachieved on their high expectations. But I actually got a surprising take for you. I was all the way out on the Ravens last week, and watching this game gave me a little bit of like last season's Bengals worth of hope, because if Lamar comes back, I know they missed the playoffs, but at least it was fun. At least it was a fun ride. Honestly, to be fair, the last season's Bengals suggest that the defense is not very good, and I think that's what I was encouraged by today. Is even with the injuries, the defense played much better. They played well. The reason why the Ravens lost was because they had a ton of turnovers, and it was like fumbles and things that you feel like are not going to be repeated, especially when Lamar comes back, and how different that offense is with him there. If this defense, against a very good Rams team, if this defense can play that level or close to it, for the rest of the season, especially given that they got the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, which is like Vikings and Steelers, I guess, are the only teams in that run that I think are better than. Yeah. Who else do you think will give them a run? If the Ravens can play like they played yesterday, I think they beat all of those teams except maybe the Vikings and Steelers.
Were you at the game today? Did you go to the Ravens game?
No, I didn't. Why would I do that?
It was extremely wet and windy in Baltimore.
I mean, I live in D.C. We experienced the same weather. It was wet and windy, but the defense made plays.
They made plays. The Rams did miss like a 25-yard field goal in this game. And Matthew Stafford did overthrow and open Devontae Adams for, I think, touchdowns on back-to-back passes on that drive early on. I'm not as optimistic as you are about the defense. I think the offense is going to be just fine when Lamar Jackson comes back. They were great on offense before Lamar got hurt. Like I have no concerns about the offense, but like Domonique, I mean, you know this better than I do. Like, it's not just about the players you have on paper. It's not just about what makes sense. The crowd was chanting "Fire Harbaugh" during this game. I mean, it feels like. It feels like the fan base is willing this into being a real changing point. Where, like, if they don't go on a big winning streak the second half of the season, it feels like they're done with this version of the Ravens. Doesn't mean they're going to trade Lamar. Doesn't mean that they're going to, like, uproot the entire team. But it feels like they're out for blood. And it feels like until they get that blood, or until they go on a big winning streak, this is going to be a very depressing situation.
Yeah. I mean, and that feels like almost unbelievable and un-Ravens-like, because every kind of transition that they've had before this has been along with their plan. But, I mean, sometimes it's time and sometimes it's time. We'll see. I mean, I think you're right. The rest of the season will determine how what this team looks like going forward.
But you have faith in the defense based on what you saw. You feel like the defense at least took a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously you're right. The Devontae Adams, I think he could have caught one of those touchdown passes. The other one, like it's red zone efficiency. The Rams are not really good in the red zone so far this season, which you could chalk that up to what happened there. But I think it's just more about the fight of the team and the defense not being. I mean, I guess I'm comparing it to what we've seen so far this season.
Yes.
So compared to what we've seen so far this season, yes, that looks like an NFL defense that can keep games close enough that a healthy Lamar Jackson will win them a lot of games. That's the only point I was making. Last week, what we saw last week from that defense, it didn't matter who their quarterback was. Yeah. They were going to be embarrassed.
To be fair, you did start this section by comparing them to a Bengals team that missed the playoffs last year.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say they were missed the playoffs. It's just not going to be an abomination of the season.
You want to set your standards a little higher than our quarterback put up good numbers, and we had one of the most infuriating seasons in recent memory.
Well, their defense this week was much better than that that Bengals defense, and I think they will continue to be better than that.
I got one more question. Do you think anything happens for this team at the bye? Do you think they make any other changes? They traded Odafe Owe last week. Like, there's been talk about the fans want them to fire Zach Orr. Harbaugh said he doesn't want to fire Zach Orr. We talked about the Dean P situation, them bringing in random guys. Yeah. James Franklin suddenly is a free agent. Do you think they do anything at the bye week to change things, or do you think they kind of just like, okay, we'll get healthy and we'll be fine?
The problem is what would they do? Like, I don't know. Like, anticipating a Dean Pease type hire. Like, it's hard to predict. I don't know who's out there who they would want to. I know we joked about Jerry Rossberg, or maybe the Dolphins will fire Mike McDaniel and they can hire him and help. Yeah. Which I don't know, that wouldn't help the defense. So, like, I don't know what the move is. There's not like a free agent savior out there. If he was, somebody would have already picked him up. The Cowboys need a savior for their defense. They were really bad. You saw Rico Dowdle get his revenge game, back-to-back weeks of more than 200 yards, all purpose. Rico Dowdle and the Panthers had a last-second victory over the Cowboys, and they're out here ruining a great Dak season. But, yeah, Rico and the Panthers. Do you have faith in the Panthers now? Are you picking them? Put all your money on Rico? Suave?
You can't put him on the bench when Chuba Hubbard comes back, right? Like,
Nah.
He was a fill-in replacement for Chuba Hubbard, and he's run for 200+, and he was at 30 for 183, and he led them in receiving on top of it. 239 yards from scrimmage.
I gotta be honest. He was this close to getting our good hands.
Ooh.
But I mean,
what's a man gotta do? Back-to-back 200-yard games from scrimmage, and Domonique, just running back hater, Domonique Foxworth, can't give him.
I love JSN too much.
My favorite part about this was during the game. Our beloved Greg Olson, the best commentator outside of ESPN, of course, in the business, was trying to be kind and relay some Cowboys information. I think it was Rick Olsen. If it's not, I apologize. But relay some Cowboys information about how, they had a lot of guys to pay, and they just, Rico Dowdle wouldn't make it. Rico Dowdle's getting $2.75 million. Like, Jerry, it's honestly, you could take $2.75 million out of Jerry Jones's suite at the Cowboy Stadium. He would not even notice. He would not even register for him as a loss. He is a rounding error in a rounding error. The Cowboys, Jonathan Williams has been good. It's not like they haven't had a good running back this year, but Rico Dowdle was good last year, and the Cowboys let him go, and I'm excited and happy to see this guy playing good football for the Panthers.
Well, I mean,
I didn't answer your question at all.
No, that's fine. You don't have to. You also have to, if you're going to take shots at Jerry Jones' general management, you got to celebrate that he brought in George Pickens. George Pickens balled in that game. And he tried to hurdle like 3 times.
One of the weirder hurdles you will ever see.
I mean, it's what you expect from Pickens. Pickens is just a eccentric type of guy. Like, he just does unusual things all the time, and most of the time it works out well, or at least it has so far this season, as long as Dak's throwing it to him.
Yeah, but remember, this was the argument I heard all offseason about George Pickens. I might have even propagated this argument here and there myself. Was this idea of, if Mike Tomlin gives up on you, you are too crazy for the rest of the world. Like, you are not going to thrive if you leave Pittsburgh. He looks great. He's playing in a much pass-happier offense. He looks like he's getting the ball a ton. He's playing good football. Like, not saying things aren't going to go south here or there, but at the very least, George Pickens is putting himself in position to make a lot of money this offseason, whether it's with the Cowboys or somebody else. Like, he is playing fantastic football. He's running away from people. He's making plays after the catch. We know he can out-jump people and catch 50-50 balls. Like, shocking to think that George Pickens going from Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields and Russell Wilson to Dak Prescott might be a major upgrade.
Hell yeah, it's an upgrade. Don't talk bad about my man Dak. Like,
I'm saying
it's a surprise that it's an upgrade. No, of course it's an upgrade.
I'm engaging. I'm being facetious, Dominique.
Gotcha. Oh, my bad.
A sense of sarcasm for the sake of the show.
I get defensive about Dak. Let's go to another quarterback that's in the way too early MVP conversation. Daniel Jones and the Colts got another win.
Of course, you want to talk about the Colts.
Why? I mean, of course, they beat the Cardinals. It's a good win. I mean, I honestly was going to talk about the Cardinals having some efficient offense without their quarterback, and that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you. Do you want to talk about what you said about the Colts before the year, Dominique? Do you want to bring that up at all?
Nah, I don't want to talk about how I told you that they were going to be great. I don't want to discuss that. Or I told you that Jonathan Taylor was going to be awesome and this receiving core was incredible, or that Tyler Warren might be the best offensive weapon in football right now. I don't want to say any of that. I want to know what you got to say about it next to Jason,
Tyler Warren
of course.
got that run past you energy that Domonique Foxworth looks for? Is he run a 4.35?
No, he does not, but he's versatile. Like, they put him at quarterback, running back, tight end. He makes big plays. They design stuff for him. He's just incredible, man. Downs is not on the same level as him, but I feel like they bring something to the offense that allows Daniel Jones to be incredibly productive. But of course, the most simple thing is that offensive line is really good. They run the ball, they run the hell out of the ball, and it makes everyone's life a lot easier. But and of all the teams that I talk about, like how the point differential is close, this is one of the few teams that be kicking people, and I like to see that.
I mean, this was a Cardinals team with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback instead of Kyler Murray, which, depending on who you ask, might be an upgrade. They lost Marvin Harrison to a concussion early in this game, so it wasn't a Cardinals team at full strength, but I see your point. And this wasn't like, week 1, week 2, Daniel Jones's numbers were so far out of line with his historical performance that it was like, well, there's no way they're going to sustain that. Daniel Jones was 22 of 30 for 212 with 2 touchdowns, an interception, and 1 sack in this game. That is not anything crazy. That is like a typical 60th percentile above average Daniel Jones performance. And if they can win with that, they're going to be fine. That's not unsustainable. That is not hard to keep up. It's not like there was anything about this performance or this game that makes you think, well, they're not going to get that every week, or they're not going to get that. Jonathan Taylor has been the best running back in football for half a season now, stretching back to last year. He was really good the last quarter of the season, and now we're 5 games into 2025. He's been clearly and comfortably the best running back in football. And that's not going anywhere. I really think this version of the Colts is extremely sustainable as long as Daniel Jones stays healthy. Now, did you see what happened in warmups to this team?
Yeah.
It was a war zone. Anthony Richardson fractures his orbital bone with some kind of injury. Javarius Ward gets concussed. They lost another player to injury warmups. Have you ever seen in all your history playing football 3 players go down injured in warmups?
No, never seen that. I've never been on a team where 1 player got hurt during warmups, but 3, it's absurd. But can I take a second to give a little love to my man Daniel Jones? Even though you're saying that this was a 60th percentile game, which I accept that statistically, you don't appreciate the fact that under pressure, he was 9 for 9 for 93 yards. He got sacked 1 time. That to me matters. It's the pressure situation, everyone gets a little bit worse. If you have a quarterback who, obviously that's not replicable for Daniel Jones every single time, but he has that capability. And the statistical output is not always the best measurement for how a particular player plays. Sure. Daniel Jones is one of these resurgent quarterbacks, which I guess this is a conversation for another day when we have more time about the new version of roster construction that's give me that reclamation, man.
Get that quarterback out of the trash. Shine him up real nice. Get him in the shower. Buy him a new suit. Use some. Don't go get that cheap shampoo. Get some fancy shampoo. Go to Kiehl's. Go to the mall. Get some fancy shampoo. Make him smell real nice. He's going to be just fine. There is a whole tier of quarterbacks this year who are suddenly MVP candidates around the NFL, and pretty much you had to get dumped by the Carolina Panthers to get there.
You think that's what the Bengals are doing with Joe Flacco?
I think I might be doing it with Joe Burrow. What are you talking about, Joe Flacco?
No, I mean, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow's been injured a bunch, but he's not one of these reclamation quarterbacks. Joe Burrow's the number 1 overall pick. That's their guy. But they tried to shine up Joe Flacco and lost to the Packers. I don't think, I have a newfound respect, because I think going into this week, I was, laughing about the Joe Flacco situation. But I have a ton of respect for him. I don't agree with it. I wouldn't be able to do it, but I respect it.
Just going a lifestyle choice you don't agree with. Joe Flacco sold his house and bought an RV and drove around the country. I don't respect. I respect it. I don't like it. I wouldn't do it myself, but I gotta respect Joe Flacco.
I actually think that's the perfect analogy. It's it don't make sense to me, but it works.
It makes you happy.
I would never sell my house and just travel around in an RV and take showers at truck stops. But if that's what Joe Flacco want to do, that's what he want to do. So they lost to the Packers. Packers were kind of underwhelming in this game, but they got the win, which is, I guess, the most important part. But at some point, Golden, he showed up today. That was a big one. Their number 1. Sure. Yeah, their first round receiver. Seemed like he came into his own, had a little bit of a coming out.
Josh Jacobs had a good game, was the focal point of the offense, but this didn't feel that much different to me than the last time the Packers played Joe Flacco when he was on the Cleveland Browns, where it felt like a game where Packers should have dominated. They were playing great on defense for most of the game, and then they just left that door open a tiny bit for Joe Flacco, with their offense not playing all that well, and Joe Flacco brought them back. He got some help from the defense, of course, but it felt like the difference was when the Packers had a chance to seal that game up with a field goal, their field goal got blocked, and they ended up losing the game. Whereas this game, the Packers hit the field goal that made it a 2-score game and kind of wrapped it up as a contest. I still feel like the Packers are going to play up to their competition. If they get, remember, they played against the Lions, the Commanders, they were dominating those teams. And yet, play the Browns, play the husk of the Bengals, it looks like they can't be bothered. And so we'll see. That could just be a fluke, could just be like a short-term thing. But I need to see them dominate teams the way the Colts do, for example, the way some of these other teams do. Like, they need to be that caliber of team.
Yeah, we'll see as the season goes along. At this point in the season, a lot of teams playing without their important players. We did today. How do you think we did? We did a good job. We held it down without Charlie. What do you think?
I miss you, Charlie. Charlie, come back. Do not. We need you. You are our franchise player. I've said this to the producers all the time. This should be the Charlie Kravitz show. I don't know why they haven't.
All right, thank you. Thank you to all those great producers that you tell this to. No thank you to Bill Barnwell. Charlie, we do miss you. I don't know if we'll have you back, though, because Bill likes you too much. Podville, I love you. We out. This is Domonique Foxworth Show, presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. And now we out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.